Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Whatever time of day you are joining us, this is the Victory Roll Wrestling Podcast. I am one of your hosts, the storyteller, Alex Braddock.
And I am your other host, never ready, Dylan Gilbert. And, buddy, it's been a week.
It has been a week. It is always a week. If you are not familiar with what we do a weekly recap here at the Victory Roll Podcast. So this week we have a lot of setup for the end of the week, and then a lot of setup for what is coming to next week, which is crazy to think about that, we've watched as much wrestling as we have, and at the end of the day, nothing really happened.
Yeah. That's a lot of notes for a lot of, so we'll see how that goes next week.
Yeah. I mean, that's the honest truth. Super quick. If you're listening on Spotify, hit the download button. If you're listening on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. I have to do the cheesy things at the top because otherwise people don't. Thanks, guys. All right. Starting us off hot. Monday Night Raw. We're just setting up for next week. We are pushing hard for Zayn versus Gunther now.
I'm for it. Let's go.
The not called Beast Slayer of WrestleMania, Sami Zayn taking out the long reigning IC champion Gunther. Gunther has now won the World Heavyweight title. We are pushing for Zayn to go against him. You want to go ahead and throw a prediction on the board?
I am going to throw a prediction on the board. 10,000 days as champion. Mark it down. Gunther will reign supreme forever.
Right. Gunther's
realistically, I'm hoping for at least a year reign. I mean, come on. But Sami Zayn is one of those guys. You put him in a match, he's good. It's going to be fun, and it's going to feel like he could win it right up until he doesn't. It'll be competitive. It'll be a great, Gunther's a monster match. I'm here for it.
Oh no, it's gonna be hard hitting for sure. I mean, if that Mania match is anything to prove of it, they're gonna take it to the next step when it comes to physicality. As we've said dozens of times before, this heavyweight title picture has become a real fighting picture versus the WWE title that seems to be more storytelling based.
It's starting to feel like the IC title 2.0. They used to put the IC title on the work rate guys, and now it's like you have the higher up the card work rate guys are going off right now, and it's awesome.
And it's working great. Secondly, we finally have our Fatal 4-Way. I was completely wrong last week, and I apologize to anybody that was listening. We are, in fact, having a Fatal 4-Way match for a number one contendership for Braun Breaker's Intercontinental title. So the Fatal 4-Way, I believe next week, don't quote me on that, is going to be Braun Strowman, Ilya Dragunov, Jey Uso, and Pete Dunne. Buddy, who are you taking?
My heart tells me Pete Dunne. The part of me that's watched wrestling for the last however many years says it's probably going to be like Jey or Braun Strowman or something like that doesn't make a ton of sense to me, but it gets you I guess Braun Strowman versus Braun Breaker. You got the two big guy go fast, big guy go boom matches. Main event Jey is he's been fun. He's been kind of stagnant. I could see that being gave Braun his moment, let Jey take the title, do something. I could also see any of these guys putting on a great match and making Breaker look a little bit better. A little bit more of a star, established a little bit more. But my heart says Pete Dunne, and then he takes the title. It's not going to happen. But
it's not going to happen because my heart says Ilya Dragunov. And that's not going to happen either. So
you got to leave Ilya free because somebody's going to have to challenge after Zayn.
Yes, we have we had a promo between Jey and Braun Breaker, and it was just one of those things of hey, I'm warning you, if you coming after me, just a heads up, you Mr. Tough Guy, and of course Jey only had to say yeet to that. But yeah, no, I seriously think what it's going to probably come down to is either a Lol Uso wins, or it's going to turn into a Strowman to make Braun Breaker look bigger than what he actually is.
Well, they've already proven they're not above using, I guess, Braun to be the example for somebody being terrifying. Look at what they did with Bronson Reed.
Right.
Bronson Reed, tsunami splashing off that like concrete to the car.
With the pyro.
Yeah, the little sad Orange Cassidy pyro. But I mean, Strowman's a guy that like he's gonna. If he loses 10 matches in a row, he comes back and wins the 11th one. You're not going to go, well, I don't believe he would have won that match. Like, yes, you do. Look at him.
Right.
He's going to be a credible threat no matter how many times he loses. So I think he could take that one. And I don't think it would hurt his character a lick. Because, I mean, look at him.
Not at all. So in our hearts, we're saying Pete Dunne, Ilya Dragunov. In our brains, our smart mark brains, we are saying Braun Strowman or Jey Uso.
Yeet.
Yeet. But other than that, Monday Night Raw was pretty light this week. I checked the results. I checked the pages. Not a whole lot. I mean, then again, 2 of those matches were triple threats for that Fatal 4-Way, so it wasn't a dismissal of Raw. Just once again, we're building into we have a month and a half, or maybe just over a month.
Less than a month, I think. So Bad Blood's October 5th.
Oh, okay. So
we're a little bit left. So we've got a few Raws and SmackDowns left before Bad Blood. So I think that's where we're in that ramp up, which I think WWE TV is at its best the month before a pay-per-view. Like the week before it gets a little kind of like, okay, we know where we're at, but like those 2 to 3 weeks before where they start ramping up, really fun.
Yeah. And I think definitely having Raw be more of a fighting. I know you got kind of the supernatural spooky with the Wyatt Six, but with having the IC title being more of a fighting title, with the heavyweight title being more of a fighting title, I think definitely having a 3-hour show of just contests, whether that's title defenses, this, that, or the other, is great, especially having it this far out from Bad Blood.
Right.
We already know in Cody's hometown that it's going to be a big Cody night for Bad Blood, so definitely pulling off some of that heat via title defenses on Monday Night Raw will be a good time. NXT. Hey, it's NXT.
Do you believe in him? Because I believe in him. So, Dynamite.
Yeah, right. I will say next week, Jordan Grace is going to be defending the TNA Knockouts Championship on
That's
NXT.
going to be fun.
The way it is looking, it is going to be Pillow Girl. Yeah, Pillow Girl.
Oh, no. Wendy Chu.
There you go. See, Sue, Chu.
Which not a character that I liked at all. And then she came back as this like sleep paralysis demon thing. I was like, this is so much better.
And she's pairing up with Rosemary.
Yeah, perfect.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a fun one.
I love a good spooky gimmick. If you have a good wrestler doing a spooky gimmick, it's one of my favorite things.
It can, in fact, be fun. But moving forward, Dynamite. Dylan, go ahead and rant about how we love Fletcher, because Fletcher Okada was awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have said it time and time again. Kyle Fletcher is one of the most underrated wrestlers in the world today. They put him in the ring with Ricochet last week. He tore it down. They put him in the ring with Okada this week. They tore it down. You could put him in the ring with a mop or a blow-up doll. It's going to be 3.5 stars. The kid is good and only getting better. That match with Okada was so good.
It was solid, dude.
That was a New Japan Big Show match on a free American television. That was awesome.
I know kayfabe, but from what Don Callis said on commentary, I believe he had a bicep contusion.
He did say he had I forget the word he used, but it was like a blood pouring bicep contusion or something like that. And I'm like, I'm sure it wasn't that dramatic, but I'm sure he's working hurt.
Oh, yeah, at least a massive bruise or something.
Because, I mean, that Ricochet match was pretty hard hitting.
Yeah. And then about halfway through the match, you see him start shaking the arm. Like, oh, okay, that's fine. But yeah, he comes out taped up and everything. Still works a heck of a good match.
Kinesio tape, folks. If you need to know what body part they're going to be selling, Kinesio tape.
and sometimes we shouldn't be working that part of the body, but we do anyway. If my body is anything to prove of that. So,
Yeah.
but yes, and then the other big thing that we had, Swerve bought his childhood home.
Oh God, yes. The
Swerve, with his extra money from his new AEW contract, buys his childhood home, and then we close the night with a contract signing.
So we'll preface by when this got posted, I saw the video and I'm like, why are they? Swerve has been acting so heelish. This is such a like baby face, like goodwill moment. Like, look at this. I got to purchase my childhood home. And like I'm not even a huge Swerve guy, and even I'm going like, man, that's awesome for him. Like I love that. And then they show the clip on Dynamite, and every mark sense in my brain goes, Hangman's about to like clear every piece of glass in this house or something. He's about to go put holes in walls. Never
Nope.
did I think full house fire.
Nope.
Now, my one gripe with all of this, I think the shots were perfect. Hangman walking through, I think he teased it perfectly. You slow burn like a horror movie. He's pacing through the house, and then all of a sudden you see the gas can.
Yep.
Because I'm like, oh, he's about to start breaking stuff or whatever, and then you just see the liquid, and it's like, what was that? You see the red can. It's like, oh no.
Okay.
So perfect ending shot of Swerve is beside himself as you would be. If you just watch, you finally buy back your childhood home and you watch someone burn it to the ground in HD in front of a room full of people. He's beside himself, and that's the moment. Like Hangman sitting in the chair with the glass of whiskey, and they cut back to Swerve, and he's in tears, and Nana's holding him up. And it's like, damn, what a moment. And then the show goes off air, and Tony Khan announces to the live crowd only that they're moving this cage match to being a lights-out unsanctioned match. And I'm like, dude, talk about a pop to end the night. Swerve is defeated, and Tony Khan comes out and says, hold on a second, I'm giving you your chance. That seems like a wasted pop to me. Like, the crowd was on their feet for it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, dude, what a moment. That's one of those wrestling moments we're going to talk about for years.
Absolutely. Especially if I can get that 8x10.
Oh my God.
That picture of Hangman just chilling out in the chair, sipping on his whiskey with the house burning behind him. I need it in an 8x10, and I need as many Hangman signatures as I can on it.
It may have just been maybe it was my TV, maybe it was my feed. There was a moment where I was like, that kind of looks CG'd a little bit. Like, just, I think it was perspective on the house and the lighting.
Yeah.
I was like, that it doesn't look like it's. And then the fire actually happens, and I think they sweetened it a little bit. They shook the camera a little bit or something to sell like it exploding.
Yeah.
And then the pictures came out that like people were taking from the set, and he was sitting so freaking close. I don't know how it didn't singe hair off.
Right.
Because I'm like, oh yeah, he's probably like they burned the thing and then like they put him in post or something. Nope. This absolute psychopath sat like 50 feet maybe from a house that he just set on fire and drank a glass of whiskey. Amazing.
Devotion to the product.
Like that, if you're not going to bring that level of commitment.
Right. But no. Continuing on with setting up for All Out. We, like you said, they came out and said, hey, it's going to be a lights out unsanctioned cage match, which we knew the cage match was coming with the promo that we had last week.
Right.
But with Collision and Rampage, we had a bunch of singles matches to set up the Fatal 4-Way for Okada's Continental title picture, which would be a match at All Out. Fatal 4-Way between Okada, I think it ended up being Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, and Takeshita.
Yes.
Which we will talk about later. But the big pull away from the Collision Rampage Friday night shenanigans, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting Forever the Revival versus Grizzled Young Veterans. I know. FTR versus Grizzled Young Veterans next week, which is going to be a fantastic match.
That's two tag teams that just get tag team wrestling and do it at a high level, and I'm so excited.
Absolutely. No, it's going to be a fun time. But for Collision Rampage, with those 3 singles matches and this, that, and the other, like we had a couple of multi-man matches.
They had
Um,
the All-Star 8-man, and I think that was just guys that were in matches at All Out, and that was just kind of the way. Like, you had the Bucks facing off with the PCC guys and like an 8-man. I forget who else was in it.
I
I just
think
know it
Okada
got
and Perry, Danielson,
that might
and
have been it. It was like the Elite and then like the BCC against each other.
yeah.
And just kind of one of those. Like Raw used to do them all. It's like, hey, we got three matches for the pay-per-view. Let's make just a big 6-man tag and see if these guys can coexist, because we need something to fill the space, and it's going to be fun for the live crowd. So
it's classic TV wrestling.
yeah,
You always have those multi-man matches setting up pay-per-views, and
you have to book a show in their case, every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. And so that doesn't stop because you have a pay-per-view. So let's,
right.
you know.
Yeah, man, good times. But then SmackDown comes around on Friday, and we're just setting up for more stuff on next week. Cody Rhodes cutting a promo, sits there and goes, I think you are overcoming a shadow. I think you are coming out of the bloodlines shadow that you have been created. I do think you are in line for a title match. And Solo Sikoa steps up, and you're like, yeah, I am. And he goes, no. I wasn't talking to you. And points behind him and goes, Jacob Fatu. Not something I saw happening anytime soon, but I'm there for it if it happens. Jacob Fatu versus Cody Rhodes for the title, or just in general. Shut up and take my Indie 11 money,
For in a, I think, 2-year span, maybe 2-year span, we went from watching Jacob Fatu wrestle like Schlack in Circle 6 to Cody Rhodes on a pay-per-view. And if the matches that I've seen before any indication, this one is gonna bang, because Jacob Fatu does not play, and Cody Rhodes is on a hell of a run right now.
Absolutely.
That promo did give me a little bit of the vibe when R-Truth was cutting the promo, and you had Lesnar and Paul Heyman in the ring. Like, I know you a big boy, but I'm still gonna whoop you, Paul Heyman.
Yeah, right.
It had that feel. I was like, Cody's just like, oh yeah, he's buttering Solo up and left turn.
Yep. Oh no, I was talking to you. Yep. Yeah, no, very much so. It's and then later in the night we had the Bloodline versus Street Profits and DIY, which I hate to see DIY get jobbed out. Street Profits, they're very talented, but okay.
The shine came off that apple a few years ago.
Yeah. I'm about the smoke, but I don't like the taste of the smoke.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It needs to add a little spice to get interesting again.
I thought the heel turn was going to be really interesting with them, like when they were aligned with with MVP and everything, and then that just obviously MVP is not there anymore, so things changed. But
yeah,
we'll see. Hopefully they find direction for him.
No, very much so. But then at the end of that match, Cody comes in, stands up to Solo. Bloodline slides in to beat up Cody. All 4 Street Profits and DIY slide in to protect Cody. Nick Aldis calls it, hey, if y'all start fighting, I'll throw out suspensions. And he goes, look, if y'all want a match so bad, next week, Steel Cage, Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa. Which I think is great.
Absolutely crazy to put that on free TV and not the pay-per-view.
Correct.
So that's how you know how wild this pay-per-view match after is going to be.
Yeah.
If they're giving you the cage match on free TV before a regular wrestling match, Cody and Jacob are going to kill each other.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be nuts.
It's going to be bad blood.
The question is, I hate you. I think the real question is, do we have World's Strongest Man, Mark Roman Reigns, Henry, come out and try to tear open the cage to get inside of it and take out Solo and ruin Solo's chances?
I could see it. Maybe. I could also see Jacob Fatu scaling that cage because Samoa Werewolf doesn't care.
I mean, I think he's out of the boot now. I think he was working, so he's not injured. I mean, I could see Jacob ripping the door off, and then
easily.
maybe Roman coming in and like popping Jacob, sliding in, popping Solo. But we're at 2 weeks now since we've seen Roman, I believe. Yeah. I didn't watch this SmackDown all the way through, but I think we are at 2 weeks now. And we'll see. We'll have to see.
I put chances of that cage match ending cleanly at like 0%.
Correct.
There's no way that's not going to end with some sort of chicanery.
Maybe later in the week, I might want to put money on a Cody Rhodes moonsault off the top of the cage. He did it once. He said it hurt real bad, but it wouldn't surprise me if he tried to do it again.
Got to do it. Get the pop.
Get free TV.
He does it all to get them on their feet.
Correct.
Whoa.
I hate you. I hate you.
We're the okayest in the business for a reason.
Correct. We've never claimed to be good, folks. We've never been claimed to be good. But yes, so next up, we've got Saturday. We're going to try a change of pace for our pay-per-view reviews because, once again, we're trying to keep our episodes under 45 minutes now. And we're either going to do them completely separately so we can sit there and rant on them, or we're going to throw them into the weekly recap and see how things work. So, this week, we're going to hit high points of the match and tell you the results. Unfortunately, I didn't watch the pay-per-view.
I did.
Dylan did. Now, I will say I know exactly what happened. I went and looked up all the results. So I know everything that happened. I know who won, who lost, the moments that happened. And good Lord, was AEW's all out. Just pushing storylines and destruction.
I saw a comment off of a Reddit page that got shared to a group I'm in, and it said even the Attitude Era said, Jesus Christ, chill.
Yeah.
This show was nuts. I didn't get to watch it live. I was at the LSU Nichols game, and let me tell you, I wish I was at home watching All Out.
7 years.
Ugh, 7 more years. $70 million, folks. But this isn't a football podcast. It's a wrestling podcast. So let's get into the chaos that was All Out.
To open up the night, we had MJF and Daniel Garcia. I mean, shut up and take my money. You know, that's...
I think that match started the most perfect way it could. MJF with the big epic entrance, and as he's taking his jacket off, Garcia just comes flying in, says to hell with a boxing introduction, we're just fighting. And the match didn't slow down for a good 20 minutes. We talk about a match full of hate, full of just... Garcia just wants to take MJF's head off, and Daddy Magic on commentary just like, don't pin him yet, Danny. He hasn't taken enough yet, Danny. Just the whole match.
That's awesome.
MJF's a dick. MJF distracts the ref. A low blow roll-up pin, and you think that's going to be it. Sets up the handshake. Daniel Garcia takes the handshake, blocks a nut kick, kicks MJF low, finally hits the tombstone off of the second rope. And I know matches are still, MJF still leading, but I think we're at a wash with writing each other off TV. We're 1-1.
Yeah, man. I have taken a pile driver off the second rope. Not fun. Not great. It can definitely put you on the shelf if you are not very careful. But yes, Maxwell going over Garcia on that one, picking up a win. From what I've heard, from what I've seen, solid match. I mean, it's always great when you can get Maxwell Sabre Jr.
The Fujiwara into basically like a Venus de Milo, both arms back, cinches another leg back, and I'm like, I knew MJF was a great wrestler. I didn't realize he was that technical that he could just octopus this dude back like that. Amazing.
My boy's been practicing. Next up, we got the Young Bucks versus Blackpool Combat Club for the AEW Tag Team Championships. I have heard this match was pretty mid.
It was, I'd say it was fine. I didn't give these matches ratings. I was too just like, I was gassed up because I spent 12 plus hours trying not to see spoilers and like dodging text messages and everything. So I was just like, I'm just staring at the screen. This match was fun. It wasn't anything spectacular. There's some really fun moments in it. The Bucks did a lot of just real fun cutoff moments where like BCC was getting this like big baby face warm up and then they'd cut him off, and I think it was fine. Like if I'm just taking a stab, I'd say like 3 out of 5, 3.5 out of 5. Like it wasn't bad, but it
wasn't like blow your mind great.
It did, yeah. I would never say it was a bad match, but I also wouldn't put it in like the Bucks top 10 or anything.
Got it.
It did what it needed to do. It was a fun match, and it gave the crowd a chance to kind of catch their breath after like the emotion dump of the first match.
Right. Ooh, excuse me, folks. But next up, yeah, they definitely gave you a bathroom break after those results. Ospreay versus Pac was next.
Brother.
I'm pretty sure I've seen the entire match just via clips.
Let me just say a prayer for the necks of both of those men, because the amount of poison ranas and there's a couple points in this match where Pac and Ospreay, I don't know how the physics of some of the things they were doing are possible. Pac has this move he does that looks freaking amazing where he sets up like a Hurricane Rana, flips all the way through to where he's like seated on top of you.
Yeah.
And can hook a pin. He took one of those out of a power bomb. Ospreay has him up in power bomb position, and as Ospreay's going to power bomb him, he tucks and they completely flip. And it looked like something out of a video game. Like the human body should not be able to move that quickly.
Right.
They beat the sweet bejesus out of each other for what felt like 5 minutes. I think it was probably like 20, 23, somewhere in there.
For sure, yeah.
If you don't like people kicking out of finishes, don't watch it. It was very much a Japan type, like Brit rest, Japan, hard-hitting, finishes kicked out of. Oh my God, what's it going to take to put the other away? But damn, what a match.
I don't mind a good kick out or finish.
So Ospreay,
go ahead.
Ospreay, I think by the time it was over, had hit 3 or 4 Os Cutters, 3 or 4 Hidden Blades, Stormbreaker, and a Styles Clash. The finish to put it away, he hit a Styles Clash after Pac had kicked out a Stormbreaker. So Pac kicks out a Stormbreaker. Ospreay hits a freaking Styles Clash. I forget how they reversed into it, but it looked great. Styles Clash, and as he lands, he just like rolls back at like a reverse kip up. Hidden Blade to the side of the head. Pac goes out. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. Like it was just beating like the holy hell out of each other.
Right.
And two of these guys that have they wrestled before? I don't remember them wrestling before. Maybe on the indies, like way back.
Very minor. Very minor, like, before
they crossed in like Rev Pro. I think that because I don't think Pac was in Progress. But they said they both came out of the same British scene.
There is nothing a little Google search can't do, and I'm sorry to the viewers if I get a little whitewashed.
But they made a point of saying they both came up through Japan and in the British scene, but I think it was like that they were just kind of passing each other. And I think there was definitely like in promos and stuff you heard Ospreay say like he was always told coming up like you're good but you're no Pac yet. So I do I mean this was, if it hasn't already happened, I'm saying dream match, and if it has already happened, a dream rematch.
Yeah.
And man, they absolutely freaking brought it.
Yes, with the only other time that they have crossed path in a singles match is in Rev Pro.
See, yeah. So one time
back in 2019.
So very early.
So fresh off of Neville's release.
Yes.
From WWE. So that's nuts.
Yeah. So I mean, we're looking at what, 5 years ago?
Right. Gosh,
so that is before Ospreay. This is at that point Ospreay is still junior heavyweight Ospreay on his way up.
Yeah.
So essentially, they're both totally different wrestlers at this point, and that match was. I wish I could say it was match of the night, but holy crap, do we have more stuff coming?
Yes, we do. Osprey goes over Pac with the Hidden Blade. To talk on kicking out of finishes, I'm still convinced that the Hidden Blade is no longer a finish. It used to be,
I think
but
it used to be.
I think he realized how devastating of a strike it is. So now he uses it more as a strike.
And I think he uses it as a strike to set up moments. Or it's like a second finisher. Like he hit the Styles Clash, set up Hidden Blade.
Yeah, just like you're kind of dead. Okay, and you're dead. So, no, very much so. Next up, Chicago Street Fight. We have Chris Statlander versus Willow Nightingale. Buddy, tell me about it because I feel awful that you had a part of it spoiled.
Yeah, so fun fact, I've got a good one of my good friends. We talk wrestling a lot at our place of work. Almost never do I get a text message during a pay-per-view. So of course, the one time that I get a text during a pay-per-view is the one time I am not watching live. If you know me, I do love deathmatch wrestling. Yes, I'm one of those. Chris Statlander takes a bundle of light tubes on an AEW program. And I found out before it happened, so and this is where it's funny, I told you this before, I was like, I'm kind of mad that I didn't get to just go in blind and just be surprised by it. The way that it happens is so quick, it was still just like, oh my God! Stat has a barbed wire bat, she goes to hit Willow with the barbed wire bat, Willow ducks it, comes up, bam, glass shatters. Awesome.
Shoot.
Awesome. I think it was one of the more violent women's matches we've seen in AEW. I mean, Statlander took some crazy stuff on that one. A lot of
Tacks.
it was a pretty bloody match. There was tacks, there was glass, there was a barbed wire bat. The match ends with Statlander wrapping a chain around Willow's head and cinching back a submission to a tap. I mean, Willow's got a chain around her neck, and Stat is just yanking backwards. I mean, it was. They said it was going to be the funeral to the friendship, and I was like, "This. Sometimes the heel
was
winning.
The purgatory. This wasn't the funeral. It was the purgatory. That is walking down the stairwell.
That was. I knew it was going to be violent when they said Chicago Street Fight. I did not have Chris Statlander taking a bundle of light tubes to the head, Nick Gage style, on my 2024 bingo card for wrestling. I also didn't have Chris Statlander taking a freaking split onto a pile of tacks.
Ooh.
Wearing regular ring gear, folks, not wearing the long pants like a lot of people do in Street Fight. She had, like, through the back of her legs and stuff, she had tacks, like, in areas that move a lot when you walk and run and bump that could not have felt good. In the back, you know, like, that sucks, but like in like the crease above the knee, it's stuff that where your body's gonna move and just keep hitting it. Massive props to her for continuing on and like rolling through a physical, violent match.
Right. Very
and
much
I
so.
hope that that's not the last we see these two lock up, because every time they've fought, it's been progressively more fun.
Oh, there's no way.
Cool it off right now and give them 6 months. Bring it back. Bring it back.
Very much so. Just a small analytical note. The last time that we saw light tubes on AEW television, not the last time we've seen glass, the last time we have seen light tubes, is Chris Jericho versus Nick Gage.
The man, the king, the god of this shit. I say what you will about Nick Gage. I am a fan, and I hope that this little him not showing up to GCW, they're saying potentially relapse. I hope not. I want to see Gage back because the indie world is better when Nick Gage is 100% and healthy and raising hell.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just a little sidebar. That big Gage mark.
Absolutely. No,
So
I knew you were. That's why I
the
threw
two people in AEW that have taken light tubes is Chris Statlander and Chris Jericho taking them from Nick Gage.
Which might be top 5 wrestlers for Dylan, so just they're up there for sure. But we gotta move on. We gotta move on to the next match. We're trying to keep it 45 minutes. 45 minutes.
Let's go.
Fatal 4-Way, Continental Classic title. I don't know what they're calling it now.
I think they're calling it the Continental Championship.
And then they do the Continental Classic for this, that, and the other. I think after this tournament this year, I don't believe that title will be defended unless it is in a tournament, if I remember what Tony said correctly. But anyway, we have the Fatal 4-Way. Okada, Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe. Jeez, dude. I feel awful that I get them mixed up, but I can never remember which one is alive. Because either way, they're Redneck Kung Fu. And that's the name that's in my head. It's just Redneck Kung Fu.
So Jay was the killer and serious one, and Mark was always the funny one.
Got it.
And then they could both turn on, beat the holy hell out of people. But Jay was the one who was serious, and Mark was the one that was always just kind of a little screw loose and more fun.
Yeah. But fourth member of this match, Konosuke Takeshita. And oh boy, tell me about this match, because I from what I've seen, we're setting up a singles match that you can shut up and take my Japanese yen.
Takeshita and Okada had a lot of moments where there was a lot of pauses and stares down and kind of setting up. Like, the crowd was so hyped every time these two locked up. But there's a few points where they'd get the stare down, like, this is going to be the moment we get a couple minutes, and like Orange would roll in or Mark would roll in. But I think like highlights of the match was just anything Takeshita was doing, because everything he did looked so freaking clean. He was just taking heads off. And then I think my favorite comedy moment of the night, Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe are staring each other down, and it's like, all right, this is going to have to happen. And Orange does the half little slap chop, like the slap chop. Mark charges up and he swings and pulls last second and does like the Orange Cassidy chop. And they do that for a good swing back and forth. And then they both charge up and high five. And the crowd like loses it. Awesome. And then they just start trading strikes.
Yes.
So they kind of set you up like, oh God, they're going to fight each other. They're doing a comedy spot. Oh shit, they're fighting each other.
Oh, hey, okay, cool. No, the spot I saw was Mark and Orange out on the apron doing the elbow drops to Takeshita and Okada on the floor, where Mark is like, Redneck Kung Fu, and then jumps off with all this energy, and Orange kind of just like walks up and half-ass jumps off as he does. Like,
they had another moment where they had both guys down, and Mark and Orange go for pins at the same time. 1-2 kick, and Mark goes, switch! And they switch guys and go for the pin again. 1-2 kick. And it's just like, it was a really fun, I think that's those blending of styles. You can have serious, you can have violent, you can have comedy. That was a fun overall match. Okada takes the win, retains, because you knew he wasn't going to lose it yet.
Right.
And damn fun match.
Absolutely. And once again, pushing that Takeshita Okada match, which, once again, shut up and take my money.
Yeah.
Next up, Mercedes Moné goes over Shida. Moving on to the next match.
That's all I have to say about that.
We have expressed it before. I love Shida. I used to love the work that she's done. I tend, unfortunately, to tune out when she comes up. But also I tune out when Monet shows up, and I hate that. I'm waiting for that one, like... I think what it's going to end up being is they're going to push this heel, push the heel, and then eventually it's going to turn into a face turn where she hits what used to be the bank statement. And when she brings that veracity back and can hit it and tear somebody's head off, I'm ready for it. But
I mean,
it ain't shaping up.
Not to be that fan that sits there, has never taken a bump in my freaking life and go like, haha, this person can't wrestle. I know she can wrestle. I know she can be good. She has not shown any of that to me since she left WWE, which is crazy because that's usually when people's careers start to kind of like, I'm gonna push the work rate. I'm gonna I'm gonna change my style, whatever. She changed her style and it actually got worse.
Well, so that's the mind-boggling part to me. If I remember correctly, before she got injured when she was New Japan Strong Women's Champion, the few matches that she had with Julia and this, that, and the I can't remember her opponents, but they were solid matches. Now, sure, you still had the Glory Bomb backpack BS I don't know the name
she's
of.
never hit it correctly once. Please, please, somebody in the company, if you hear this, make her stop doing it. Go, that backstabber into the bank statement was such a great one too. Use that again, please.
But I know she's training. She constantly has videos of her training and doing lucha stuff with Samurai del Sol now, I believe is what his name is. They're still really good friends and they go train and she goes to Mexico every now and then and trains. I know she's training. I know she's working.
She's talented. She's athletic. It's just not showing right now.
I have seen it with some people. You can work and work and work, but if your attitude doesn't give a shit, then you're not gonna give a shit in the ring. Anyway, off that high horse before I start getting on it, we have Danielson versus Jack Perry.
In our main event of the night.
I wish that was the case.
It was our sanctioned main event of the night.
Correct. Yeah. I heard it was a good match.
It was a really good match. Perry comes out with the full Riot Squad, which I think was perfect. Danielson still using Final Countdown, my favorite. They put on it was a pretty violent, like hard hitter match. Perry went after the neck a lot, which Danielson had kinesio tape from shoulder to shoulder. Because in case you didn't know, he's had neck issues and requires neck surgery. So what is Jackass Perry going to do? He's going to go after that neck the entirety of the night. I mean, hard hitting. He kept kind of powering out fighting spirit. Bryce Remsburg is a man among boys in the reffing community, took the Busaiku knee, and somehow 2-3 minutes later could get up and function, because most referees, if they take a slight punch or a gentle breeze, alert their families they've passed. He took that knee like a champion.
Yeah.
Bucks intervene. Blackpool comes in, cuts that off. So it's a little more back and forth. Danielson wins the match. And then stuff gets weird. Luchasaurus, Kill Switch, whatever we're calling him, I still don't know.
I don't even think he knows.
Comes out, attacks Danielson, kind of sets up, he's going after Perry. Christian comes down with his next AEW championship clipboard to be met by Jon Moxley in a white t-shirt with no affiliation on him.
Hey, super quick, spoilers.
Yeah.
If that needed to be said. Please continue.
Moment of the freaking night until the next match. BCC basically forms the wall, sends Patriarchy packing. Like, we're not having this moment. Moxley slides in with the rest of Blackpool, celebrate with Danielson, and Moxley gives what I can only describe as the Judas kiss to the forehead of Bryan Danielson. And I was just like, something didn't feel right in the air. My shoulders kind of started just like, this is not going to end well. And Claudio pops the Euro, which took Danielson's head clean off. Moxley, with the plastic bag, some shit out of The Departed, is trying to suffocate Danielson as Yuta is being held back and screaming. And so it looks like Danielson is out of BCC, Yuta is out of BCC, and we now have Moxley, Claudio, Pac, and Marina Shafir in what may still be the Blackpool Combat Club. This is the new faction that they rolled out, and as Yuta was trying to help carry Danielson to the back, and JR, maybe we don't have JR out there for sort of death matchy violent moments, because he did not know what the hell to make of it, and he was pissed.
Yeah, that's, dude. When I saw clips of it, it was great because I wouldn't use the term no-sold, but what what really did it was the Euro from Claudio to Danielson, and he falls down on the ground, and he just has like it's not even like I'm dead from this Euro. Like it's a single strike that can do damage, but you can tell in that moment he had recovered a little bit from the match, and he had taken that one hit, and like he's like I'm gonna sell like I just took a hit instead of I'm dying. So he has that shock. Like it was more of a shock factor. It wasn't selling. It was just the shock of like,
wait, you
just hit me, and then the bag goes over the head. We're like, oh, we're watching something out of a mafia movie.
Yes, that's what it felt like. Because I think Yuta looked like the kid in the mafia movie that thought he was hard until it was time to do hard shit, and he realized that maybe I'm not meant for this life.
Right. But dude, I still love the image because I'm pretty sure. Do not quote me. Yuta hugs Danielson, and then turns around and like hugs Pac. Like Pac doesn't hug him. He hugs Pac, and then Pac just turns him around and cinches in the grip. Like nah. You're gonna watch.
You're gonna watch this happen.
Which is nuts.
It was cold, man. It was crazy. And that was the craziest thing that happened all night. And then the lights go off, and they come back on. And we are now in an unsanctioned match. My biggest gripe with this match, we are going to turn the lights off. We're going to turn the lights back on. And when the lights come back up, AEW is no longer responsible for the actions of the stars in this ring. So let's get a good zoom in on the AEW logo during Hangman's entrance, and the video board's still running. I'm okay with the video boards for the wrestlers' entrances, but don't have the like AEW All Out going all the way around the arena. Yeah. Cut that board. You showed you could cut it off. Cut that off. Let's make this feel a little gritty. But
I know it's a branding thing, but totally. it would have been dope if they cut everything.
So,
like, sure, you still had a little bit of production elements, like showing the Titantrons for the wrestlers,
the video board.
I would have loved if they cut the aprons.
Hangman comes out with his new video board, is him sitting in front of the flaming house.
Yes.
With, like, the Red Dead Redemption sepia tone across it.
Yes.
And I was just like, cut the damn video board. And then that shows up, and I just sat back. I was like, I'm just going to shut up and let Tony Khan tell me this story. You know what? God damn it, Tony.
I'm going to let people that get paid way more money than I do tell me what's going on.
Exactly. Because sometimes we have opinions, and our opinions can be wrong, folks. It's
correct.
Okay. It's no secret. I love a good death match. I love violence in my wrestling. As the cage is being lowered, they're doing the Swerve is holding Hangman's head on the apron. Hangman turns, gets over top of Swerve, and he's holding Swerve's head on the apron, and the cage is coming down. And I'm like, look, I know that they know what they're doing. I know somebody knows what they're doing, but oh my God.
Yeah,
and then finally Nana just walks up and shoves them both in and goes, no, we're not doing it like this. And I was like, oh, thank Christ.
Yeah.
And I wish I could say it got less violent from there, but no.
No.
We had, we'll just kind of run through this quick to keep this at time. We had chair shots to the back and head. We had barbed wire. We had tables. We had this is my one per episode. We had a fucking cinder block. Both men.
Not one of those powdery cinder blocks either.
No, brother.
Actual cinder block.
Real concrete. Cry me a river. Which both men took spots onto, and the reason I know it was a real one is Hangman's spot to it, I guess placement was off slightly, and he brushed the side of it instead of hitting it straight on, and I think I would have rather hit it straight on because you could see the like concrete scrape across his back. Yeah, that was like halfway through the match, so he's sweating into that for the rest of that match.
Dude.
We end it with one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Oh yeah, staple guns too. Don't forget the actual staple guns.
That's a Swerve. That's a Swerve, no pun intended. Staple. That's a Swerve
staple. He was in Combat Zone Wrestling. That dude knows how to do deathmatch shit, and he did. And for all the crap I give Swerve for like the character stuff, you cannot deny that is, I think, the example of when you talk about these deathmatch guys kick out of more and more crazy things, and it's like, well, what happens if you take a deathmatch guy out of deathmatch and put him in regular wrestling? It's Swerve. Well, yeah, okay, I can take a superplex. Do you want me to go through 6 panes of glass that are on fire? No, just a regular superplex? I'm kicking out at 2.
Right.
I've seen what this guy can do. Real staples in their back and chest the whole match. The craziest thing I saw that all night, the finish for this match, Hangman, I think it had to be a nod to Jim Cornette always dropping the we're going to have a hypodermic needles full of AIDS and vinegar death match and just talking about the ridiculousness ramping up. Puts a freaking syringe through the cheek of Swerve Strickland and then takes a folding chair to the head of Swerve. The seat breaks out of the chair, but not before it completely wraps around Swerve's head. And the referee calls for the knockout. And Swerve, I don't know how much is selling and how much was him just like, I'm just going to lay here and you guys do what you do. They were checking his freaking pulse as the cameras were cutting from him. Obviously, he's alive, but he is worse for freaking wear. That was a war. Hangman kneeling at the top of the ramp and just screaming like a man possessed. I mean, what a freaking way to end a show. Swerve is being tended to by this medical staff getting the backboard ready and checking his vitals as Hangman is sitting there, and the look in his eyes is, I want to go back in and keep going. We can talk about this in a separate video, and I think we will at some point. Like, I think that the deathmatch type stuff like that has a place if you use it correctly. And look, if it's deathmatch promotion, whatever, then like that's fine, going in. But like in commercial wrestling, this is the time to use it. These two have gone so far. They've pushed each other so far past these limits. There was nowhere else for this to go. And I think that's the match you have.
And here's the hoping it finishes the feud. Because we thought the last one did.
I literally don't know where else they can go.
I don't either. But, ladies and gentlemen, we have in fact crossed the 52-minute mark, which means we are going to wrap things up. Just all out, one heck of a show. If you want to go check it out, go check it out. But no, it was very fun indeed. All in all, I think we say it just about every other week now. Good time to be in wrestling.
Oh yeah, great time.
Good time to be a fan. Maybe one of these days we'll actually go on an episode and forget about the recap and actually talk about indie wrestling. Because that's my passion, is what's happening outside of the cameras and figure out all of that. But with that being said, Dylan, my friend, where can they find you?
You can find me. I am Dylan underscore take a shot. Dylan underscore Gilbert 37 on Instagram. Dylan Gilbert on Facebook. And other than that, you can find me working production at 225 shows and part of the Action Figure Weekly podcast when we drop those. It's a pretty loose schedule. We just kind of do what we do.
Heck yeah, Holmes. Heck yeah. You can find me at Alex Braddock or the Alex Braddock on all the social medias. Yeah, man. For the people on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, hit the things. Share it. We don't pay for advertisement. Share a link, share a clip when we make them, because life is starting to get hectic and clips are hard sometimes. But yes, do the thing, share them on Spotify, hit the download button, share those links as well if you listen on audio. For the people that didn't know, we have just pure audio or still video on Spotify if you want to do that. But all in all, yes, thank you for listening. I end this podcast the same way I started. Whether it is a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, or a good night, whatever time you've been watching, thank you for watching. And this has been the Victory Road Wrestling Podcast.